right, what's going on, guys? It's Josh Answers from the Trading Fraternity. It's June 14th, 2016. I'm getting the daily recap. Before I start that, I'm going to answer some questions from the last video. Michael Wilosic, I believe that's how you say it. He asked me, where do I get all my info, like Russia cutting rates? I'll show you guys a cool site that I use. One of them is Trading Economics. That's where I get a lot of sites about international, but it's also, developing theses and getting trade ideas and just keeping up to date with stuff you think is important, and finding out what's important, like oil and stuff. I thought Russia was important, and I've been looking into them lately, and I had the brothers and pledges looking into that, and we were able to find that. So that's one way, and just various news sites too for the rest. But and then for the 52-week highs and lows, that's about, the market. You'll even see it like right here on my high-low ticker. I get that. It'll tell me 52-week lows. Very easy to spot in that sense, but just keeping up with stuff on a day-to-day, I'd say, is the best thing. So there's that. Sam asked my thoughts on Bitcoin. I actually made a video last night that I'm going to post at the same time as post this one. Right now it's like 2 hours after market today on the 14th, so you'll get that up there soon. And then Blackbird asked, what was the trade on LinkedIn like? Curious to know, since an event you don't really know when it could come and time to kick and eat you up. You're 100% correct. That one, it would take a long time to really explain it. But what I can say, I played it from earnings, and I set myself up on a long-term play because I was more bullish on LinkedIn. I didn't get any puts at all anyways. It was something I believed it was already somewhat undervalued to begin with, as far as foreseeing that Microsoft was going to come in and purchase them. I don't think most people saw that coming. I said, anybody says they saw that coming, say they're lying, realistically, but that's that. But now, as far as getting into the market, what happened, with those were the only questions I saw. If you guys have any other questions, put them on their videos, and I'll address them in tomorrow's video. But how it's going to work, for what I want to start with is something that happened towards the end of market today, and it's related to, making money. You guys want to know how I make money. It's a play that I played, that I got into. And you guys want to see my mindset behind it and how it's going to work. It is a very interesting play. It's tricky. I'm trying to make these videos quick, but I'm going to go into a pretty decent amount of depth here with it. But it was Perrigo. So as you see here, this is Perrigo's chart for today. Perrigo is a pharmaceutical company. They are one of the world's largest generic drug manufacturers. I'm pretty sure they do like NyQuil and stuff like that, and they have generic stuff like that. I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me. They do that, and then like baby formula. But they're pretty big. They got there's a rumor of a buyout. So that being said, it shot the stock up, shot up from $99 to 108, came back down, did it, and closed at about 110 almost, and now it's trading about like 108 after hours. But this is a very interesting deal. As I'll go back and look, and why do I say it's interesting deal? One, as I explained it, we explained Microsoft and LinkedIn. I said it in the last video, there's a trend of buyouts, and I believe we're going to continue to see it. I believe that's where a lot of money could be made. I did enter this trade. I didn't play it as optimally as I'd liked. I actually got shooken out. I misinterpreted some information. But even then, after kind of doing some research after hours, I'm kind of happy, but it is a pretty tricky, convoluted situation. Why do I say that? Well, take a look at Perrigo's chart. Here's a longer-term chart. Very good growth, but let's zoom back in just to the last year or 2 years or so. Here you see in 2014 or 2015 in April, they got a bid, and that was from Mylan. So they were trading at 162. Granted, remember, they're trading at 108 right now. And that just shot the stock up. The stock actually went to 200 or about 204 or 215 at the highest, but around 204, 203 is where it settled at. And they got an offer from Mylan, and it was very interesting because the stock went to 200 a share. It was valued at 200 a share, but it was a mix of cash and stock. So if you're not familiar with how that works, they BHI and Baker Hughes and Halliburton proposed to do that with their deal, but that got blocked. But how it works is they would do the buyout. They offer them a price. It would be equivalent to $200. But it would be shareholders who own Perrigo would get paid $75 cash, and any of their one share of Perrigo would get converted to 2.3 shares of Mylan. So that was the proposal back then. That was when the old CEO, Pappas, was in charge. That guy, he's the new CEO of VRX. So it, he said at the time, he rejected it. He said they do not want to do it. It was very interesting. It was only a 9% premium at the time. Papa said that it doesn't represent shareholder value. I did look at their fundamentals a little bit. Their assets alone are 19 billion. They have about 6 billion in debt. As far as comparing this April to last April, they're doing worse in terms of earnings, EPS, everything. So there's maybe less of an incentive if people pay, but pretty much they were saying back then assets and liabilities were roughly the same, but Papa said it wasn't worth enough then. So why that's interesting is because he's not in charge now, and Perrigo has dropped about 40% since then. So here's the dilemma, and because today's offer that came in today, fast forward today, they got a $20 billion offer. That was the supposed rumor. Some say it's from a European firm. We don't know who it's from yet. I don't know if it could be Mylan. There is laws around, because Perrigo is Ford, surrounding how the bidding process. So Mylan may not be able to for another year, and I think a year from either April or December. So so they may actually be in the running since it has been here, but not too sure on that. But fast forward today, it's a $20 billion offer. It's a rumor, so we do not know yet. However, some people are saying, considering how high the stock is right now and how it's traded both in the close and after hours, it's looking like it's confirmed. But I don't know. I got calls, but I'm sitting in it. Again, it is very confusing. Like I said, because we did based on the value now, roughly based on my estimates, it not including debt. If they didn't buy the debt, if they're not including the debt, pretty much, well, they have to buy the debt, but it would be they'd be trading essentially $20 billion would put them, I think, at like 150. So 150 a share. So there's definitely money to be made here. But now, again, doing my research, here's my issue. One, the value, I don't know if it is including debt, because if it includes debt, it's a $20 billion offer. They have $6 billion in debt. They're already trading at 15 billion. So pretty much it'd be around 108, 110 we'd see, give or take, and I'm giving loose numbers. But it's totally lost track of what I was saying. The buyout, what was I just saying? Sam? He said right to me, he wasn't listening. The buyout price. Oh yeah, if they're gonna get bought at 110 or 150, based on this $20 billion offer, what it's gonna mean. If it's $20 billion without the debt, then that would mean about I'm assuming, again, these are rough estimates. I haven't really put the pen to the pad on it and said, but I think it goes around like 150 a share. I think some people said like 145. So it's very interesting. Again, just like Monsanto, and just like as you saw with LinkedIn, there's money to be made on that just by getting in the money. That's what I'm trying to take advantage of. And that's how I'm going to go about making money and seeing this play develop. But now the risk factors, the babies, the most important part, is based on the Mylan offer, it could be a share deal, and that could be kind of shitty because that would change how the options get valued. If it's a partially cash deal, partially cash, partially shares, the options will convert, and that could affect how much you make as opposed to an all-cash deal. So all-cash deal would be most preferred, but you'd probably get a lower buyout price with that, I assume. But that's one thing. And then two is will Perrigo say yes in general? We could see them, we saw Allergen hold off. You guys are seeing Monsanto hold off. You see Medivation hold off. Those are three companies off the top of my head holding off on, I've held off on buyouts. Perrigo's already declined. And here's the kicker. Are you ready? Today's offer is 20 billion. They declined 27 billion. in April, and they even upped it at one point. It got 27, moved up to 32, I think, including debt. So they declined $32 billion last year, a year and a half ago or so. Why would they take 20 billion today? So that's the main issue that we're having here and deciding, and that's what I'm worried about. So that's that. But keep an eye out for that. That's what I'm watching to be able to play, and I think it could provide a really cool opportunity. So there's that. What else happened today? And again, I will say today was kind of slow. It wasn't as eventful, I'd say, as yesterday. Maybe we just had too much fun with LinkedIn and all that. But there wasn't, as far as events, like I'm saying, stuff to watch. Perrigo is one of those, but it was still kind of slow till rate hike in Brexit. And considering some news events that happened today, which I will highlight, I am a little bit more. I am eyeing the Brexit, and I think it's going to be a very, very interesting event, and is going to have a big effect on the market. So another thing happened today, Obama had a speech at the Treasury. Some people were assuming it was going to be related to finances, but it wasn't. Yeah. It was related to terrorism and Donald Trump. There was call outs of Trump and stuff like that, and just really it was simply about terrorism and fighting terrorism, and only real relation between the Treasury and what Obama said was that the Treasury was like stopping terrorism through the budget and cutting money and cracking down on stuff like that. So I didn't really think it was important. A lot of Donald Trump shaming. It is important. I'm kind of just fed up with the election, all that. It is important just in the sense that this is the first time you are seeing a president really shame someone who's his successor, really, a potential successor. So there's that. Another thing that happened, same political note, kind of funny. Russian hackers hacked the Democratic National Convention. They stole the files that the Democratic National Convention had on Trump. So they took that, hid that from them. So it was bullish for Trump in that sense. And then now this is that significant event I was going to tell you about is German bonds for the first time went negative. Now this points to the Brexit, and people are having fears, and this is huge. And now I got asked in the citizen chat by Ashley Shim. Hello, Miss Shim. Maybe this guy. I gave you your answer in chat, and I'll even add on to it and just explain. German bonds going negative for the first time. It represents a few things. It's one, if there's negative rates in Europe, which we're seeing a lot, and I'm not tying this into the Brexit just yet, but one, negative rates could be better sometimes, or negative bonds are better than negative rates sometimes. Because now, if the negative rates you're getting taxed on your holdings, it may be better just to buy bonds. There's that. But then on another note, bonds are a safety asset. People buy bonds for the guaranteed return. I'll make another video explaining how bonds work, but pretty much they're buying them for safety. So if you see people buying a lot of safety assets, what is that alluding to? It's they want safety. So it could even mean people are worried. That means people are rushing in to safety, and that's actually why the bonds go quote unquote negative. They're only negative. It's not as if the bonds are negative. And what that means essentially, it's a bond that says instead of you guaranteed you're getting paid back, you're going to pay. So it's like a guaranteed loss. Some people are like, why would you do that? There's many different reasons, and then I'm going to touch on it briefly. Or why would they buy a negative bond? If it's like we said, if it's a guaranteed return, why in anybody in their right mind would they do it? Like we said, if there's the negative currency, but also just to even keep the cash safe. Another thing too is it's just how like inflation works too. If you believe it's going to like outpace inflation, I'm not going to get into all that, but pretty much with the negative yields, if it's going to outpace inflation, it may make sense to take less money, a guaranteed less amount of money if you believe your currency is going to drastically change in value. So that's why it goes hand in hand with all the Brexit stuff. But there's that, and then also you're just saying people want to give money to Germany to keep it safe. It's a safe place to put your money now, and so it's guaranteeing you at least get your money back. And it may be because something could be happening, and what I think it could be, because how it works, if you have negative bond rates, but then your currency gains and not weakens, but your currency gets stronger, well, what happens? That offsets the negative yield pretty much. So if you need any elaboration on that, I'll get into it. But pretty much, if there's a big currency gain, people are putting their money into German negative bonds. That means they're believing there's going to be a big currency gain, really, in the euro. And as you go look back on the euro chart, I actually had it up. It was when the euro gets strength, it's actually pretty bad, as we've seen globally. And that's for global trade reasons. Not going to get into all that, but that so that's what happened with the German bonds. Again, I don't want to rant on this one like the Perrigo. If you guys want to know more, let me know. But there's that. I keep an eye out for it, but it really is just hinting red flags at the whole Brexit situation. So there's that. And then another thing relatable to the whole Brexit thing is watch the pound. With the Brexit, if again, this is another, I guess, look into what I'm looking at if you want to know, and this is just how to interpret something. Look at the pound. Pretty much the pound is being used somewhat as an indicator of if the Brexit is going to go through or not, some people are saying. So if the pound gets weaker, that means that the Brexit might actually go through. If it gets stronger, people think it won't. So it's interesting to watch. It moves a lot different than the euro, but been watching that go down, and I've seen the market go down today, and I'll pull it up, but you'll notice the market today, where is it? 16. I think it's from right here. But the market was interesting, to say the least. Oil went down. China kind of just barely fluctuated. The market it went down a lot, came back up, but what was driving it? And there wasn't really parallels. The yen got stronger, but tell me if this chart looks familiar. Pretty much you'll see the pound was pretty much parallel with the SPY today. Almost on par, even right now, even into after hours. I'm sure if I pulled it up. Oh, and SPY's dropping right now after hours. But it's interesting to watch. But there's a correlation, and I think this just goes to show it's not oil driving our market. It's not China. It's not anything else people are worried about. It's could be really the Brexit. So even rates. So that's something to keep watch of, and that's why I'm kind of placing more precedent on that. But that happened. More in the news section, Whole Foods got hit with, they got investigated. This one is on CNBC. It was like one of their manufacturers. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think shareholders did. They did sell off 3%, but that could also have been simply because of the market. But maybe something to keep an eye on. Could develop into something, but that's the story now. Nothing too big for now. Again, it was just like complaints on like sanitation or something like that. Another thing is Baba. Oh man, did they come out with a bang? They said a lot of things today. One of which was that they're going to dominate the world and take over. They said they want to be the 5th largest economy in the world. Not like business economy, not country. They want to be like bigger than that's what I'm saying. Like countries wise, they want to be bigger than the 5th largest country. So they plan to do a lot. They're saying projections of just under $1 trillion, I think by 2020 is what they said, which is insane. Another reason why I like the stock. I'm not holding it, but I do want to get shares at one point. Don't think the time's right just yet. There's that. Some people they're up on that news, but some people were a little outraged. Jack Ma spoke towards the counterfeit issues. They've had many issues with counterfeiting and issues at times that have dropped the stock substantially. So it's interesting to see how Wall Street took that today, maybe because of those projections. But Jack Ma just said, yeah, we have counterfeits, we'll deal with them, as they come. But, what's the problem if the counterfeits are better than the originals? So pretty bold, very, very interesting. So I keep watch on Baba. It's been interesting, have interesting swings lately, so that's interesting to watch. Next is Baidu. They cut guidance, so they had a wild ride today. I thought they were going to close positive. It's funny, I thought they were going to open negative. They ripped up. I thought they would have closed positive, and then they ended up closing negative. But interesting situation. They cut their quarter 2 guidance, and people are a little worried. I know I talked with Folks about this and Paula. I know Folks is very worried. He says, I know Folks has bounced on some theories with him about he likes him and not, but he says, pretty bearish, just thinking it's bad for them. Paula even thinks it's bullish, and I'm kind of more on that side. Not bullish, just bullish in the sense that it's probably sandbagging. They could be sandbagging and do what Walmart did, just giving that big guidance now, reporting down the road, and just not doing as bad. So it's interesting, but keep a watch on that. Another thing after hours, like I said, this is just stupid news. I guess that's how slow the market is. Twitter made like a $70 million investment in SoundCloud, so interesting. They didn't purchase SoundCloud, but they made an investment. Interesting to see how this has an effect. As far as other news, there's Deutsche Bank. That was hitting 52-week lows today. It did, and this is very interesting to watch along with the finance sector, which will show it's been selling off. It's trading substantially below its book value, and no surprise, German bonds went negative. So I think it's just responding to the euro crisis, or rate hikes and the Brexit. So keep an eye on that. Keeps an eye on XLF. There's XLF and XL. Yeah, XLF is the one to watch too. It's obviously it's not the same weakness, but those European banks are one to watch. Another one is BIB. BIB in the biotechs. I don't know. I think IBB is hitting 52-week lows. I know BIB hit them today. I was keeping my eye out on that. I'd watch and see that this is pretty interesting to show some weakness in the biotechs. Maybe markets pricing in Hillary Clinton becoming president. Who knows? But yeah, biotechs. IBB is not at 52-week lows. BIIB is, but I'd watch for that if there is some shocks and pressure. Biotech hasn't sold off too much yet, but I'd keep an eye on that. There's that, and then I guess the last piece of news, dollar was up 6%, or not 6%, excuse me, 0.6%. So still pretty strong move. I think it has to do again along more of these fears, all that stuff in Germany and whatnot, and because even the pound further dropped too. So the pound dropped a lot. That's going to push the dollar up. So very, very interesting. There's other news that MSCI said no to China adding their A shares. I'm not going to get too much in that. That was just news that just came out. There's like Bob Evans earnings. Not going to talk too much on that. Again, just trying to give you guys the most important stuff. But I believe that is it. Yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Put them down below in the comments. And I will answer your questions. Simple as that in the next video. Hope to hear from you guys soon, this citizen webinar. Let's see what's going to happen. We've got some crazy theories to discuss. So hope you guys have a great day, great weekend. That's coming up, even though it's Tuesday. God bless you. Goodbye.